And welcome back. As you know, all month here at ABC News, we are taking a closer look at the climate crisis and how it's impacting every corner of our globe. And now, after quite an intense journey, our Amy Robach has arrived finally in Antarctica, seeing the continent's breathtaking icebergs, blankets of sea ice, and even some very special friends that we are going to introduce you to. We're going to talk to her live in just a moment, but first, let's take a look.
After several days off course, outrunning vicious winds, we finally stepped onto continental Antarctica.
We made it!
Making landfall at a point known as Brown Bluff, but in reality, it's more black and white. Adelie penguins, up to 15,000 of them, gathered on land for breeding season when females lay eggs atop rocky nests.
We're seeing the Adelies laying on eggs. Do we know if those are the females or the males?
It's remarkable because the female, of course, she lays the egg, but very quickly the male takes over and does about 95% of the incubation process on his own.
And for many, they have no problem with long-term relationships.
Because they mate for life, and they know their mate by the sound of their call?
They can recognize the call, yes, and they do. We like to romanticize that they mate for life, but it is a little bit like, I mate for life as long as this is going well. And so if one of them doesn't show up one year or they're not successful a couple seasons in a row, they might split up and go find a better partner.
Along our journey, we've been amazed by Antarctica's breathtaking icebergs, blankets of sea ice, and cold climate critters. But the most elusive sights in Antarctica are below the ice.
The truest way to see it is underwater.
All right, how cold is it?
Brisk.
Brisk is an understatement, with water temperatures below freezing. But for Lindblad undersea specialist Brett Garner and Ian Strachan, it's just another day on the job.
Weather conditions prevented us from making landfall today, so here's our plan B. We're out on the Zodiac with a group of divers, brave divers, who are going to show us what's underneath all of this.
The snow falling fast, waves rocking our boats. Everything icy blue, white, and gray. But below is a different story. Serene and colorful, bright pinks, oranges, and greens. Starfish litter the ocean floor. Strands of seaweed grow to massive lengths. Seals gliding and penguins porpoising through the water. While penguins may not be very graceful on land, they are some of the fastest animals under the sea, effortlessly swimming beneath the waves. And a glimpse at the scale of Antarctica's icebergs, up to 90% of each one hidden below the surface. Back above the water, as we leave Brown Bluff, the color from below is matched up above, a stunning sunset in the most remote place on Earth.
And our Amy joining us live now from Antarctica, out on the waters in a nice warm 9 degrees below zero. Amy, my Southern California gal who loves the sunshine, different type of journey for you.
It certainly is. And, you know, we're going to be doing a polar plunge here in a few hours. So that's a great temperature to come out of the water to. I can't wait.
And it was rough seas, right? You weren't actually able to do the snorkeling that you really wanted to do. And explain that. I mean, Antarctica,
well,
you never know what
really
you're going to get.
Yeah, well, I have to say, every single thing we planned was unplanned and then replanned 3 times because Mother Nature had another plan in store for us. So yes, yesterday I was psyching myself up all day. I don't know that I was looking forward to it. I was slightly dreading it, but kind of excited about maybe pushing myself to another level to snorkel, yes, which means we would have been in the water for up to 20 minutes, hoping that penguins would swim past us so it wouldn't just be a quick in and out. And that was definitely a little bit unnerving to me. We would have been in dry suits. We saw the divers do it. They say it's perfectly safe. I don't know how comfortable it is, but the seas were too rough, yes. And so they wouldn't, they had to put a nix on that. And I said it was a combination of disappointment and relief all mixed in together. So I'll get to make up for a little bit of that with the polar plunge later today.
I got to tell you, Amy, I'm very jealous. Many, many years ago, I got to spend a month in Antarctica, made it to the South Pole. The highlight for me, by far, the Adelie penguins. But you actually got to see not just the Adelie penguins, something I didn't get to see, the emperor penguins. And I'm curious, were they taller than you?
Yeah. No, they are not. But you know what? I think, yeah, they're right behind me. If you want to get a look here, I know Chris, our photographer, can zoom in as much as he can right there. But we're looking at a cluster of emperor penguins right now, about 20 of them, which is incredibly rare for this time of year. Normally, we wouldn't have been able to get this far south. There would have been too much ice for us to be near them. So it's really rare, and also telling of the shrinking ice here in this area, because the folks here on the boat, the naturalists, say 2 years ago, we would not have been able to get this far because there would have been too much ice. The ice has disappeared significantly from just 2 years from. So it's remarkable that we get to see these majestic penguins, the largest species of the penguins, up close and personal, but it's also a warning sign about what's happening with our climate, Kira.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, Amy. I don't think a lot of people understand. Not only is this such a beautiful place, and you see things you will never be able to see anyplace else in the world, but there's so much scientific research that takes place in Antarctica, from what we learn about earthquakes to medical discoveries to climate change. What has stood out to you so far? What have you found the most interesting or fascinating to this point?
Well, I mean, I feel like every day my jaw drops, and that's a true statement, because every day we're in a completely different environment, and it's unpredictable and it's extreme. And I think learning things like these incredible glacial icebergs that we're looking at, you only see 10% above water, and 90% of them are below. Some of them are as big as aircraft carriers, and they're on the move. And we also have just seen the most incredible scenes of wildlife. We've seen seals right outside of our deck. We saw the Adelie penguins, we saw the Gen 2 penguins, now the emperor penguins, and killer whales. Kira, we saw 17 killer whales outside of our ship yesterday, and they stayed with us. And we saw 2 calves, one of them a newborn. It was just the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. And just to see these animals in this incredible setting thriving, it warms your heart, but it also is something that I hopefully we can all look at to say this is important. These animals are a huge part of our ecosystem. They're beautiful, they're majestic, and what we do every day in our lives affects what's happening to them here.
And I don't think a lot of people realize it's such a gift to be able to be where you are right now. It's such a special place, and not everybody is allowed, to make it all the way to Antarctica. And the conditions too. We talked about this the other day about having to break the ice. You can't always get to where you want to go, because if you're not in the right type of ship that can, an icebreaker, right? You can't get through. Did you get to break ice?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I woke up yesterday to the sound of ice breaking, and I opened up the drapes. We have to have blackout shades because it's light here almost 24 hours now where we are. And I just went, oh my gosh, how are we sailing through this? And so, yes, we were breaking ice through the Southern Ocean, and it was ice as far as you could see, and that's where we saw the seals just right underneath us on the ice. And it was it's a surreal thing to say that you could be traveling and moving through such extreme conditions. I mean, we moved through hurricane force winds. We've moved through as much as a 30-foot swell, 18 to 30-foot swells in the Drake Passage. So this is a journey that can only be made when you have the right kind of vehicle and perhaps the right scopolamine patch so that you don't get too sick along the way. It's been rough going, but you've been here. It is worth every second of queasiness to experience nature like this.
Amen. It opens up your mind in ways that you'll think about for the rest of your life. Amy Robach, there in Antarctica. What a journey. So great to have you live. We appreciate it, Amy, so much.
Thank you, Kira. Can I go back inside now?
Yes, you can.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.